So, with alternative music, alternative rock, alternative, I'm not sure of the other classifications under alternative, uh, but as I'm saying with other music genres, the alternative kind of music, which I discovered that it was called alternative in my late teenage years. I didn't realize there was alternative, if it was even called that earlier. Um, it plays a certain role in me having nostalgia back in time. Of course, music in general. Let me say this because I'm starting to feel like I'm saying a similar theme with the different genres. Music in general brings me back and brings us back. Not everyone may respond to music the same way, but in my particular case, when I'm hearing songs today that I was listening to 20 years ago, 25 years ago, 30 years ago, it gives me my soul or myself a certain feeling that uh, it's a settling feeling, or sometimes nostalgia, sometimes it brings me back. It helps me, reminds me of the situations and the things that were happening there at that time. And it's kind of like while the song's playing, it's not just one specific situation. It's almost like looking at a if you watched a movie and at some point after the movie has played for some time and you can see the story of the actor or the main actors playing out, and then near the tail end of the movie they do a really quick replay of the different events that led up to where they are now, and it's kind of like a 2 or 3 minute or 4 minute review of the conversations they were having and the different situations they were in, and like that. So I guess I would say when I'm talking about music, excuse me, I feel like we have that, uh, or at least I have that same type of a thing. So when alternative music comes on, an alternative takes different forms. And I may have to name some groups in here to give that like a different uh, feeling to someone of the music that I'm talking about, and maybe I will try to find some stories, find at least one story. But one kind of alternative uh, bass music that is very sentimental to me and close is something like the Cranberries, where No Need to Argue. That CD or that soundtrack, I've listened to that thousands of times, literally. And you know, I didn't realize it at the time because I wasn't looking at and there was no YouTube, I think, when I first started listening to it. That didn't exist. The internet was still forming when I was listening to the Cranberries. So it was really the music itself, being empty and disappointment and ridiculous thoughts. These are all names of the songs on there. Zombie is something about the main singer, her voice, how she could pierce my soul and give a sentiment around the way she was singing and the way the song, not just her voice, but the way the instruments were playing. It's stuck with me. It's still with me as I'm saying it and I'm mentioning the song names. They're playing in a little bit in the back of my mind because I can remember something as simple as we at college. I'll tell one scenario. You know, I used to go down to play pool. I would play pool in we had a student center there, And sometimes early morning, I would go there on my own to practice and shoot some pool balls around, and they would play music on the background music in the pool hall area, and I can remember like the smells and the mystique type of earlier morning. The things you know when you wake up early morning and there's a certain smell outside. I can't describe it. When the temperature, if you're in an area that's like this, the temperature is not too hot. It's almost like a summertime-ish kind of. Um, but there's a certain the air, something in the air that kind of sticks out there. Anyway, I can remember those smells and being downstairs and shooting pool and just listening to the music, and all was good with the world, just in bliss. That's the thing, the smell of bliss. There's something about that smell of bliss. I'm sure some people they wake up and they look out and they don't have the smell of bliss. Especially if you're in some parts of a city somewhere, you might not smell those good smells. But the smell of bliss I'm talking about is where I was in a college. It was more like a trees, and it had not really suburbs, but kind of like that. So it was very natural in one aspect. So I had that blissful smell. Okay, so the Cranberries, very deep music. I've lived with them from a music perspective through a number of different scenarios, and it's been just a way that I've been able to express myself. I've sang all the songs. I love the songs. I really, and I can't describe it, but I'm sure you can feel it if you're into alternative music as well. It's something about it, and it's not just the Cranberries. You have Pearl Jam is something I mentioned, alternative rock, how I got into that. Toad the Wet Sprocket, I mean, Soundgarden, Big Audio Dynamite. We can keep going. I have a lot of different groups, REM and Depeche Mode, and it can keep going, where their expression through the music has kind of given me, or given anyone listening, a way to relate. And the funny thing is, relating, but not necessarily relating to their specific situation, but relating our own situation to that song. You know how many times I've sang the song Black by Pearl Jam, and not just Black, Deep, and Oceans, and Jeremy. Why go home? Why? I think it's Why Go. Why go home? And Even Flow, Alive. And I see I'm at Porch. I'm saying all these things off the top of my head because that's how deep and impactful alternative music has been for someone like me. Now, recently, and I'm gonna stop talking soon. Recently, because I'm doing all this more research on the project for language and trying to find varieties of music around the world, I've been bumping into alternative music from like the Greenland area and the parts of Canada where the natives there, the Inuits and the Greenlandic singers, oh, they have such a beautiful rendition of music in an alternative way. And Becky Hahn is one of them that I recommend you really take a look at. Check her out. Her voice is such a deep sentiment, and her songs are short but deep and moving, and it makes me feel like, wow, it's talent. Thank you, all alternative, for all your talent, but it pierces the soul, and it's amazing.